Hi, I'm Bill Pearis, an editor at Brooklyn Vegan, and you're listening to Brooklyn Vegan Interviews, which features conversations with some of our favorite musicians. This week we've got Welsh iconoclast Cate Le Bon, who just released the wonderful, if heartbreaking, new album, Michelangelo Dying. We discussed how the album was not the record she intended or wanted to make, her creative partnership with producer and engineer Samur Khouja, working with musicians Dylan Hadley, Valentina Magliati, Stephen Black, and Euan Hinshelwood on the album, her other career as a producer making records with Wilco, dry cleaning Horsegirl, and more, her 2026 tour plans, her new dog, and more. Okay, let's get into it. Here's my conversation with Cate Le Bon. I'm pleased to welcome Cate Le Bon, whose seventh album, Michelangelo Dying, is out via Mexican Summer. Cate, welcome. How are you and where are you?
Hi, I am doing okay, thank you. And I am in Cardiff, Wales at the moment.
Is that where you call home these days? I know you were in California for a while.
Yeah, for the past year I've been here. So I suppose so, yes.
Cardiff is where you grew up?
No, I'm from a little village about an hour and 45 minutes away from Cardiff, more in the country towards the west coast of Wales. Yeah.
You lived in Cardiff like when you first started coming up as a musician, am I right or wrong?
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Yes.
The press release for the new album says Michelangelo Dying usurped the album she thought she was making. And I'm wondering how so.
Well, I was trying to outrun this all-consuming heartache that I was feeling. I didn't really want to make a record about it. It felt like too much of a cliche maybe, or just too vulnerable. You know, if you scratch the surface, God knows what's going to come out. But, you know, when I sat down to try and make a new record that was, in my mind, going to be angular and industrial sounding, it was just, you know, another way of sidestepping, looking this heartache in the eye. And so, you know, every song I started in a certain way always kept coming back around to, this record that I have made, where I kind of realized that I just needed to have it out with the heartache.
Were you trying to do a lyrically different type of record?
No, not necessarily. I mean, do you mean lyrically different from this record?
Yeah, or just like not, you know, discuss those things.
But yeah, I mean, I didn't want to discuss them. But they wanted to be discussed, so right. I kind of surrendered to it, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then that also changed the sonic way that you had first maybe imagined?
Yeah, I guess so. I think that this record, you know, it's the instrumentation, the, you know, arrangements, music and everything, and the lyrics all kind of happened. They all formed in at the same time, you know, so there was never really, you know, lyrics and then let's write the music, or music, let's write the lyrics. It was all happening at the same time. So each, you know, continually informing the other.
You used the phrase like all-consuming heartache, and you really get that with the record, and like heartache and passion all at the same time. But I also hear little glimpses of humor in there, which I think is nice. I don't, and maybe I'm reading into this, and you didn't see that this way at all. But like on Jerome, like the line "I'm eating rocks," I really like connected with that, and but also kind of laughed. Like it almost seemed like a "I hope you're happy" kind of thing. Like, look at me, I'm eating rocks.
Yeah, I mean that's, you know, it's been kind of quite nice about, because the record, you know, it was happening in real time, and so there's like a, you know, all of the emotions that you feel, even those kind of petulant kind of emotions and the dark humor and whatnot. It's all in there, I think, but it also maybe wasn't obvious to me at the time. It's quite a different experience listening back to something that you have written in real time that is so, I guess, heartache is a, when you're in it, it feels like it will never end. And then when you have, healed somewhat from it, you can't imagine what it really feels like when you're in it. And so to listen to the record in a different headspace, there are, I think, lots of moments where I see or feel things differently, or, there is humor where I thought there was just despair and anguish. And so it's, I think it's, there's, that's very, real what you're saying.
Do you think it's going to change for you again when you have to start performing these songs live?
Yeah, I'm in the process of learning them, and there are always moments, I think, when you're making a record and it's kind of head down, very private world, and then to perform them is completely different pool of energy that you have to kind of pull from. And maybe I think understanding them in a different way now that's still real and honest, but it's really helping me figure out how to perform them.
These songs, were they first written like on a guitar or piano, or more in like a band setting?
Kind of all over the place, really. But kind of jump from piano to synth to guitar. I don't think any were written on the bass this time, but it was really quite a fragmented kind of grabbing things and seeing what felt emotionally in tune with myself. Another
line that stuck out to me is, "Now I'm older than Lady Diana." Is that a game that you play with yourself?
No, I just remember being shocked at how young Lady Diana was when she died, and the day I realized I was older than her when she died was but it's also a kind of tongue-in-cheek line about age not really mattering, but mattering to some people.
I think I first experienced it when I passed the 27 point and realized I'd made it past the 27 club.
Yeah. It's good to make it past 27.
Yeah, but then like I'm older than you, and I was flipping channels on television, and that movie Cocoon came on.
Oh yeah.
And I realized that I was older than Wilford Brimley was in that movie. He's always looked 75 years old, even when he was like 39.
Yeah. Sometimes, like, my perception of someone who was in their 40s when I was a teenager, it troubles me now when I'm talking to my teenage nieces. But it's different now.
Yeah. Michelangelo feels like a sonic continuation or refinement of the sound you started on Reward and continued on Pompeii. Is there a specific sound that you're chasing with these records?
I think, previous to Reward, I'd always made records with a band and tracking live, and then, having time to maybe do a few overdubs. And that was really joyous kind of way to make records, where you kind of, depending on spontaneity. But Reward started that way, and then it ended very differently with myself and Samur Khouja taking the record to the desert. And I think the first time, where I felt like I had the space to get under the hood and start pulling things apart and putting them back together, and realizing that working with Samur one-on-one was really rewarding to me in so many ways, and that I wanted to kind of make records doing that first and then seeing what was needed afterwards. And yeah, I guess that kind of relationship with Samur was the beginnings of that kind of sonic landscape that we seemed to create when we're together. And, Pompeii was a really intense version of that because it was locked down and we were in a terrace house together. And, I was like writing bass lines for like 10 hours a day, and he had the somehow was able to hack it. And it was a very intense kind of getting under the hood. But yeah, I think that kind of forged our kind of working relationship. I think he has an emotional understanding of where I'm coming from, so we kind of have this lovely shorthand in a studio where we don't really need to talk that much. We just understand where something's going, or he gets it. And with this record, there was a installation by an incredible artist called Cate Le Bon that was captured an emotion to me that I don't really know what the name of the emotion is, but that's what I wanted the record to sound like. And I showed it to Samur and he understood. Yeah, that's kind of was the beginnings of making the sonic world of the record.
Where was this installation?
Do you know, I don't know where it was originally. I would imagine New York. I think it was originally, the original installation was maybe late 70s, early 80s. Okay. I can't remember for sure. It's an installation called Real Dream. And it's, I saw a photograph of it in an art magazine and was really just so moved and taken by it. And I couldn't stop thinking about it. And it really resonated with this pain that I really wanted to put down.
Where did you and Samur first hook up? I know he's based in LA, but I see a number of Welsh artists on his credits.
Oh, yeah. Which other ones? H-Line. Griff, yeah.
Yep, Griff.
Yeah. So I moved to LA when was it 2013, maybe? I think that makes sense. And then went to his studio to record my museum, but he was just always in the shadows. It was his studio. He was engineering initially, I think. Yeah, didn't really, I don't know. He was so mysterious. And then the record after that, I think he mixed a drinks record after that. And then he came and engineered the Crab Day record. And then he engineered a Tim Presley record I was producing. And we just started to kind of really, have this lovely producer-engineer relationship. He did the Deer Hunter record with me. And just really, I don't know, I feel so lucky that we met. There's this kind of creative chemistry between us that I think is, something that I think is so precious to me. He just seems to be on a very similar wavelength and very emotionally intuitive, in the studio. Yeah.
So a real symbiosis.
Yeah. And we're very close. He's a dear friend of mine. And that's lovely. It's really special that those two things can, work and be advantageous rather than being really good friends with someone that is struggling to then work with them or whatever.
Yeah. I really like the way this album sounds. I feel like no instrument takes center stage, but it's not muddy or sludgy, though I might call it viscous.
Okay.
Like all the instruments seem to float suspended in the mix. Was this a hard album to mix?
Yes, it really was. It was mixed once and then mixed again. It took some time to get it right, but there's this beautiful way that Samur is able to, like you say, balance things, and so everything is everything's important. It's the sum of its parts, and I think vocals included. Yeah, he's done a really beautiful job of it.
This album also, I think, really benefits from listening to it loud. The first few times I listened, I had it kind of low while I was doing other things, and it almost seemed like just guitars, but I like super treated guitars. I was like, this almost sounds like a Cocteau Twins record. But then when I switched to my proper stereo or headphones, everything sort of came alive.
Yeah, that's nice to hear. Although I wonder how many people are going to listen to it through their laptop speakers. And
yeah, well, these days, right?
Yeah. But they'll have a nice surprise then when they hear it on real speakers, I suppose.
But again, just listening to it louder, that was my fault.
Maybe I should put a sticker on the records. Listen to it loud.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah.
Do you still have time for that?
No.
Probably not. You've had a lot of great drummers play with you over the years, from like Stella Magazwa, Nick Murray, and on this one you've got two,
yes.
Dylan Hadley and the amazing Valentina Magliati. How did that come together that you wanted two different percussionists on this album?
I mean, I think like most things on this record, I was just making decisions in the moment of what the record was asking of me, and I think booked a studio in Hydra, and the amazing Dylan Hadley came over, and we had this great session. And in my mind, I thought the record might be finished by the end of Hydra, but it wasn't. And so this was, Dill flew back to America after the session, and I went back to the UK, and it still, I felt like we hadn't really had time to experiment with percussion. And often I'll play a lot of percussion on the records, but this was like required someone with a skill set in percussion. And so I, was like, God, maybe I could ask Valentina, and that would be quite amazing to have, I think the mix of styles as well of Dill's groove and Valentina's groove is really interesting. So it was really fun session with Valentina. She's incredible. She's what a talented musician. I mean, they both are.
I saw Vanishing Twin a couple of years ago, and she just knocked me out. She was basically like a new Jackie Liebezeit or something,
Yeah, absolutely.
And you can't really say that about too many people and take it seriously. But Euan Hinshelwood's saxophone is also a huge part of this record. And before you started working with him, I mainly knew him as a guitarist.
Yeah.
How did it come to be that you wanted him just for sax?
I asked him to join the band for the Reward tour, I think. Yeah, that's right. Because somebody told me he played saxophone, and he did, but he then also went and started having saxophone lessons, even though he was more than he could have played the parts with his eyes closed. But, it's a show of what a committed musician Euan is. So he started having saxophone lessons, and then we started working with each other, writing for Pompeii, I think, writing parts together. And he's got a different style to Steve, who had previously played on some of my records. And we started using a lot of, effects and pedals, and I'd ask for things from him that weren't necessarily easy or traditional maybe to do on the saxophone, and he'd, very generous musician, would kind of find a way to give me what I was asking for. And we've just worked together for years. And again, I think, what I was saying about Samur, that emotional understanding of what someone wants from you creatively is really key, and the listening to what someone is asking of you. And again, that's being a really generous musician and contributor to the record. So he's really, he's a really important voice on the record. I think when words kind of evade me, then the saxophone is like the second voice.
What's your relationship with the saxophone over the years, as far as what you like and what you don't like?
Yeah. Oh, do you know, I used to hate the saxophone. But it's the gratuitous saxophone solo that I'm not really into. The way that the parts that Euan writes that are cyclical and they fall in almost like machinery with the bass lines and the guitars. And then, there are a few ripping solos, but they're so emotional to me. They're so warranted and, really kind of, like I say, it's like a relay between the vocals and the saxophone emotionally in that sense. But I love the saxophone. I love it. I keep asking Euan to teach me the saxophone, and he just will not do it. But one day maybe. But maybe he's just trying to keep himself in
his job.
I don't know. Yeah.
I'm sure, like you, I have a long-standing aversion to what I call 80s sax. But I think there is a little bit of that here. Maybe I can't remember whether it's like Is It Worth It or Heaven Is No Feeling, that you get a bit of that like David Sanborn-y type thing. But in the context of the production and arrangements and all that, it works.
Yeah, I mean, when a saxophone solo works, it's like heaven to me. Really, turns the dial up on emotion, I think. Yeah.
So you said Pompeii was a lockdown record, but this was more of a everybody in the studio kind of thing, or
a little bit of everything, really. It was it started in my workshop at the back of my house, and that's when I kind of figured out it was going to be surrendered to this heartbreak record, and started demoing, and then went to Hydra. Euan came along for the whole session because he was listening and then writing parts as I was tracking some stuff. And Dill came out, and a piano player called Paul Jones came and played some incredible piano on the record. So there were more people playing on the record than Pompeii, but it was still there was never a live band in a room ever. So it was still very, it's like collecting things, and then Samur and I would take stock and maybe pull things apart a little bit, or it was, there was no plan really. It just happened and we let it happen.
How do you know when a record is done?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think when you start, taking things away, subtraction is a good sign. Songs starting to reject things. But this record, was, I think there were times when I was done with the record, but it wasn't done with me. And so it's a bit of a tussle, quite a hard plane to land. Even, the second round of mixing, I was insisting that I redo all the vocals. And then even on the, mastering, I wanted to redo the bass on a song. So it was, I think, quite a frustrating process for everyone involved, myself included, but I really tested the limits of everyone's patience, record company, managers, mastering engineer, Heber, Samur. I think everyone was at their wits' end by the end of it, but, just had to be that way. I don't think it's that way every time. I don't think so, unless I've totally forgotten.
Well, I think the result justifies whatever hardships you had to make. So I think it's a terrific record.
Oh, thank you so much.
You've got a second career now as a producer, St. Vincent, Wilco, Devendra Banhart, most recently Horsegirl. What's your philosophy as a producer? I actually interviewed Horsegirl earlier this year, and Gigi told me that you expanded the way they talk about music.
Oh, it's really sweet. I think for me, the most important thing is, and it sounds ridiculous, but it's, I've been in many situations where I'm making a record and it's my record and I'm not being heard. And so to listen to whoever you're working with is, key. And, to always be honest with them. And being honest with a band or an artist doesn't mean you're right, but to kind of promise that you're going to be honest and to not, I think a band like Horsegirl is so special in what they do. And so what they do, the chemistry between the three of them, it doesn't really need any interference so much as, guidance maybe and listening and suggesting things. But you want the record to sound like Horsegirl because they're magic. So it's, different artists, different bands demand different things from you. But listening is key.
What about, say, Wilco, who are, have been around for 30 years and made all these critically acclaimed records? Was there any trepidation about working with them on that record?
No, because I think, when someone like Jeff asks you to produce a Wilco record, I trust that he's thought about it in a very real way. And so I trust his trust in me. And so that was, hard. All records are hard because you're making, it's immortality in many ways. And it should be hard. You should break a sweat, but it was hugely rewarding, and just being in a studio with Jeff it's a beautiful thing. He learns so much about so many things. He's a very special human. Yeah.
You're either about to or you've started working on the new dry cleaning album. Is that right?
Yeah, we finished. Yeah.
How long ago did that wrap?
Oh God, I'm terrible with time. Somewhat recently. We made it in France in, I want to say June, but it could have been May. And then it was mixed last month, I think. Yeah. And they're, so again, just special because of what happens when the four of them make something together.
Well, looking forward to hearing that whenever it gets officially announced. So you haven't played live in a couple years. Are you looking forward to getting back on the road?
Yeah, it's I tend to, tour a record and then, I don't really do many in between shows. I do an album cycle and then I kind of hunker down and write or whatever. But so it's always feels like touring for the first time, I suppose, because you have this break and I love playing with my band so much. It's such an incredible band. I suppose I'd say, being in the studio is also my favorite part, but because it's a cyclical, you write a record, you record a record, you tour a record. By the time each phase of the cycle comes around, you're really excited and that's your favorite phase. I can't wait. It feels like it's taken forever to come around. But soon, very soon.
What will be the lineup for this tour?
It will be Euan Hinshelwood on saxophone, and he keeps trying to steal all the good guitar parts. But, and Dylan Hadley on drums, Toko Yasuda on bass, Stephen Black on a little bit of everything.
Sweet Babu, right?
Yeah. He there's a rototom part in Mother of Riches that he thought was going to be a breeze to play, but I warned him. It's a Valentina part, and I warned him that it was going to be hard. But he assured me he'd nail it. He bought himself some rototoms and has now told me that it's impossible. And Paul Jones, who is, do you know Sweet Baboo's project, Group Listening?
Yes.
Yeah, so Paul Jones is the other half of that band. And he played piano on the record and is coming out live with us too. So yeah, it's a really exceptional band. And I think everyone in the band has like amazing solo, or their own musical projects that are incredible. I feel very lucky. And they're all brilliant, wonderful people to be around. So it's always just feels like a nice, weird holiday.
Well, I look forward to seeing you all in early 2026. That's right. You're touring in January?
Yeah.
You have done ceramics before. I actually own one of your mug museum mugs.
Oh.
Yeah. You've done furniture. Have you added any new crafts to your skill set?
I got a dog. I don't know if that's a skill, but it's certainly time consuming and very enjoyable. But yeah, I don't. That's it, really.
What kind of dog? What kind of dog is it?
Oh, she's so lovely. She is a lovely dog. She's a little rescue, and she's very scruffy. She's got eyebrows, which makes me think she's got some schnauzer in her. But she's like a broken head terrier, but with maybe some schnauzer, some poodle maybe. She's a bit of a mixed bag, but she's lush. Yeah.
What's her name, if I may ask?
Her name is Mila, and she's sat on my lap right now. Yeah, she's lovely. It's just really lovely to have that bond with a little animal that follows you around. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, Cate, I think that does it. But we do have a final question. Always the last question. It's an uh-oh. Just off the top of your head, five records.
No.
Here we go. Uh-oh. 5 records that you think everyone should own. Don't overthink it.
Okay. Faust 4. That's it. 5 copies of Faust 4. That's my answer. I'm sticking to it.
All right. Cate, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Congratulations on the new record.
Oh, thank you so much.
And we'll see you in early 2026.
Yeah, look forward to it.
Thanks again to Cate Le Bon for being on this week's show. Her new album, Michelangelo Dying, is out now, so be sure to check that out and catch her on tour in early 2026. Meanwhile, you should also check out our other podcast, BV Weekly, where my coworkers Dave and Andrew discuss the week's hot button music news, the latest releases, and more. You can also follow us on social media, and if you like this episode, be sure to like, subscribe, write us a review, give us 5 stars, and tell your friends about it. These things all really do help. Big thanks to our mix engineer Nick Gray and Michael Silverstein for the theme music. I'm Bill Pearis. Thanks for listening.